Hey everybody, and welcome back to my channel, where today we're going to do an update. It's been a week since I've done it, and so we're going to talk about all the things that I did, reading and otherwise, in the last week. But we are going to start with my reading, because I'm very excited, because I finished 2 books this week. 2 of them. First and foremost, I finished Kingdom of Needle and Bone by Mira Grant. This is an adult biomedical horror novella. It's about a mutated measles pandemic and one doctor's journey to save humanity. This is a book that I've read before. I love Mira Grant. But this is the first time that I was listening to it on audio. And basically all my feelings from last week are still the same. I like this book. I knew that going in. I just really enjoy it. It's one of the only horror books that has ever scared me. I like it. The way that it's written lends itself really nice to audiobook narration. However, I don't personally love the narrator for this version, so it kind of was a wash. But ultimately, it was a really nice read. It was exactly what I wanted because I had read this book before, so I knew that it was going to be exactly what I wanted, and I enjoyed my time with it. And then I did keep my rating at 4 stars. And the other book that I finished is In the Labyrinth of Drakes by Marie Brennan. This is the 4th book in the Memoirs of Lady Trent series. So in this series, we're following our main character of Isabella Camhurst as she kind of starts out her journey. Well, in the first book, she's starting, but then in the later book, she's continuing her journey to becoming a world-renowned dragon naturalist. So this is a really interesting series because it is definitely set in a different world. It's not our world, but it's an equivalent. It's just like with dragons, basically. It feels very Victorian era kind of thing. And it's also really interesting because it's written as a memoir. So our narrator is Isabella Camhurst, but like future Isabella Camhurst, who is like, writing about her past. It's a memoir. And so that's a very interesting, like, little literary kind of trick thing, which I actually really, really appreciate because I love Lady Trent, our older Lady Trent. I think she's a great character, and I love how she has these little comments about her past that are just, they're so much fun. And then, like, this book in particular, I think is a really nice addition to the series. We're following Isabella as she continues on and tries to, in this book, she's actually trying to, like, breed dragons, which nobody has been successful up until this point, but she's going to try her utmost to make it happen. And of course, other things happen as well. Political intrigue and action adventure and, like, all the things. And so it's really interesting to watch her. There's some progression to some relationships that have just been sitting there, and I've been waiting for that progression to happen. So it was really nice to see it. And we finally figure out how she became Lady Trent, because she started out Isabella Camhurst, and now we know that she becomes Lady Trent, but we never knew how, and now we have it in this book, which is excellent. Yeah, I really enjoy this. I think this is a great series, especially if you're a person who likes to see scientists actually do science. In between all the action adventure, these things that Isabella is doing, like, on her little journey, she actually is doing science because she's a dragon naturalist. She's trying to figure out more about dragons, and you have to do science to do that. And it's really nice to actually see a scientist doing science. So I really love these books for that as well. But ultimately, I really loved this book. I had so much fun with it. Like, I had so much fun that this was the only book that I read. Usually I kind of jump between books. No, I focused on this and only this until it was done. So that kind of gives a really good clue as to how much I loved it. But ultimately, I ended up giving this book 4.5 stars, and I can't wait to read the 5th and final book in this series. So I finished those 2 books, and I ended up starting 3 books because I'm me and can't have just one. But first is The Splinter in the Sky by Kemi Ashingiwa, I think is how you pronounce her name. But this is an adult science fiction book, and we're following our main character, and I don't totally know how to pronounce her name. Eniton, maybe? But basically her former lover, current friend is killed, her sibling is kidnapped, and so she offers herself up to this, like, the Imperial overlords as a tribute of sorts, so that they will in return stop harassing her people. And then the story kind of goes from there, which is fascinating because I'm only 30 pages into this, and I haven't even gotten to that part where she offers herself up. So I don't know what happens beyond that. But even though I'm only 30 pages in, this is very compelling. I'm into this book. Like, I'm hoping that it continues on in the same vein, because if it is, I'm gonna really love it. I hope it continues on, but only 30 pages in, so I don't have much more opinions than that. Another thing that I picked up is A Symphony of Echoes by Jodi Taylor, which is the 2nd book in the St. Mary's Chronicles series. This series follows a group of historians that are also time travelers, but they're not like time travelers. They're there for history. They want to go see history happen and like know what actually took place. And this being the 2nd book, we're just continuing on with our adventures, right? And I'm only 20 pages into this, but I am feeling a huge sense of relief because this is a series that was recommended by a friend. And I picked up the 1st book on her recommendation, and I was like, this is really rough. Like, it's just, I could see the potential here, but oh my gosh, it is so rough. And my friend's like, no, it gets better. I promise. It is very rough in the beginning, but it gets better. And like, I'm no stranger to series that start rough and take some time to get better. So I was like, okay, I'll try the 2nd book. And so here I am. And yes, I breathed a sigh of relief. Even though I'm only 20 pages in, even just the writing style is just so much better. So this is also a book that right now, I don't know exactly what's going to happen. I didn't read the back. I'm just like jumped in and see how things are going to go. But already I'm intrigued by what is happening and like feeling compelled to pick this up. So that's a really great sign as well. But other than that, again, I don't have a ton of opinions yet because I'm only 20 pages in. And then the last book that I picked up is Quackery, A Brief History of the Worst Ways to Cure Everything by Lydia King. I picked this up on audio because I do like to have an audiobook going as well. And actually the same friend that recommended this book, I noticed that she was reading this book, Quackery. And I was like, that sounds interesting. And then I went and looked at the description. I was like, yeah, okay, I'm in. And I went ahead and downloaded it basically immediately and started listening to it. So far, this is actually it's pretty interesting. However, I'm kind of running into this thing where everything so far feels kind of the same. So I've listened to 3 chapters so far, and there are 3. And so we've talked about 3 different cures. The first one being quicksilver or mercury, arsenic, and then antimony. And all of them just feel kind of very similar to each other. And so I don't love that part, but I also know that I'm only 3 chapters in. Like, I'm 13% of the way into the book. There's still quite a bit to cover. And so I'm hoping that it branches out a little bit beyond here. And even if it doesn't, it's still pretty interesting and I'm still having a good time with it. So I'll continue on. It's just, that's kind of the biggest issue so far. But again, I'm only 13% of the way in. So it has a lot of time to change. And that is my reading for the week. Other things that I've been doing, I have picked up a little bit of Animal Crossing, although not too much, but enough that I now have 8 of my villagers. So I only have 2 more houses to fill. And I finally got my tailor shop, which I'm so excited about, because one of my favorite things about Animal Crossing is actually the clothes and changing my outfits, which is hilarious because like in real life, I pretty much wear the same thing every single day. And so this is like the thing that I've been looking forward to, is getting the tailor shop. Although it means that I do have to play more to like get more money so that I have money to spend at the tailor shop, but we'll make it happen. But the other game that I picked up this week is actually Gems of War. So, my husband has been playing this game for a couple of years, and I ended up being in kind of a funky mood on Friday where it was like, I want something new, but it has to be familiar. And I want to learn a new game. Like I want to put in some effort, like brain power, but it can't be too much. And so I finally landed on Gems of War because it's a match 3 RPG game, which is very familiar to me because like I used to play Puzzle Quest back in the day. And like it looked very familiar because I've been watching my husband play it for multiple years, and it's a pretty like easy to learn game. And so I have been playing this and it has been fun. I don't know how long I'm going to play this game because I'm finding more and more that actually requires you to like strategize and like actually look at the enemies and what they can do and then like, you know, strategize, which I don't do at all. I just like go and see how it works out, which it doesn't always. But I'm still having fun right now. And so I'm going to keep playing it for right now. And then the big win of this week is that I worked on my tarot and learning my cups. So after last video, I actually sat down and was like, how can I make this happen? And I realized that I just needed to up the pace because usually I will learn at most 1 card a day. And usually that 1 card is actually spread out over multiple days. And you guys, I decided to just go ahead and do as many cards in a day as I could. And now I'm done. I'm done with cups. I'm done with it. Yay! I'm so excited. Like, I know that I did not learn them well. I'm going to have to come back and review so hard, but it's done. This block is done. So I am very excited about that. And I'm also excited because I started watching stuff on my watch later list for YouTube, which I don't think I've watched anything in like months, really. And so I finally started, and like I definitely like cherry picked and did some of the easier stuff, like just deleted things off that I knew I wasn't going to watch, and listened to some music videos and started trying to get caught up on my friend Julie's videos. Julie over at Keep Calm with Books and Coffee. Like I finally am getting caught up because I have videos of hers from January, which is terrible of me, but it's true. And so I'm going to finally get caught up. So I started that, and I am ending this week down 15 videos overall, which is amazing because I was still adding more this week. So I am very excited about that as well. And the only other thing is I have devoted a ton of time to trying to knock out all the dandelions in my yard. It is dandelion season, and so I have started the annual war on the dandelions. And it's a war that I always lose, but I at least try to not be the neighbor that is like letting the dandelions go to seed and like spreading the dandelions to everybody else's yard. I try not to be that neighbor, but sometimes it happens. But anyway, like I am out weeding quite a bit. So that has been my week, which was a little bit of a surprise to me as I was doing my notes for this video, because I really thought I was going to go hard into reading. And ultimately I ended up kind of having a really well-rounded week where there was some reading and there was some games and there was, you know, tarot and YouTube and weeding and things that, like, I don't like weeding, but I do like the results. But everything else was like made me happy in the moment, and that was really nice to see. So as for next week, I am going to read, mostly focusing on these two books, because I am feeling very compelled to pick them up because they're intriguing, and I'm very excited about that. And while I am not making a goal to get any kind of, like, I'm not going to try to finish. I'm not specifically trying to finish them. I'm not specifically trying to get to a certain place in either of them. Like, I will be very excited if I do finish them this week. I know that because I'm compelled to pick them up, it's actually a possibility that I might finish both of them this week. I'm going to keep on with my games because I'm really enjoying Gems of War. I want to go and buy clothes at the tailor shop in Animal Crossing. I have goals for those. I'm probably going to try to continue on either with watching my videos on my YouTube Watch Later or listening to podcasts, because again, I still have a bunch of podcasts, and at least with podcasts, I can listen to that while I'm weeding the dandelions. So that might happen. And I'm probably going to take a break from tarot because even though I'm very excited to move on to the next suit, which is swords, I'm like super excited to get into swords because the art on my cards are like beautiful. I am feeling a little burnt out on that. So I may take a break from it this week, but it'll be interesting to see if I feel like picking it back up midweek after I've had a little bit of distance. I don't know. We'll see. But that's it. That's all. I think that's my entire video. So if you have any thoughts or feelings about any of the things that I mentioned in this video, please leave me a comment down below. If you liked this video, please give it a thumbs up. Subscribe if you want to see more. And until next time, have happy reading, and I will see you in my next video. Bye.